Hello, and welcome back to another Thaliondor video. My name is Nicholas Oscar, and today I'm going to teach you how to build a sword again. But this time, we're going to use a different method. This time, we're going to use the sword fry method. This method is great for making performance-based weapons that are very light and very easy to slap together and go. They're also really good at getting repaired, seeing as all you need to do is cut a new one of these. So let's talk about it. So sword fries are pre-routed and pre-cut to make a sword once you slap it on the core. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So instead of doing the three-piece method to build a box and then build a blade, all we're going to do is glue these two, slap them together, and then we will have a sword for the most part. I will show you how to do all of those things, but first let's go over our supplies that we'll need. Like before, we're going to use a knife with a detachable blade. This is going to be useful whenever we are gluing things. The knife will get gummed up, so we want to have a knife that we can change the blade out. We need our marking utensils. We're going to need leather again because we're using a hollow core. This core that we're using in question is a 524 kite spar core. Link will be in the description below. We need our sword fry foam. This foam has routes already driven through it and is already made to be a sword once you combine it together like that. We're using blue foam to start our stab tip, and then our regular stab tip foam, the 3/4 inch gym mat foam. That will be all the way at the top of the sword. Strapping tape is going to be used to secure things that we don't want moving, like the leather and the stab tip. We're going to need some sandpaper or a sanding brick to score the core up. We have our Gorilla Tape to help secure the tip, packing, and Tyvek tape. This time we're going to use the Tyvek tape instead. We have our Weldwood contact cement in the little squeezy bottle that we will use to glue everything that we're gluing. And then we have some scrap foam that we'll use from the last build to spread the glue out. Let's get started. No dagger today. Today we're going to make a full-length sword on this 524 kite spar. This core is going to wind up being a 35-inch sword after all the foam and everything is done on it. So like in our last video, we're going to cap the hollow tube with a piece of leather. So let's do that real quick. Once we have our leather piece, we're going to take the tip of the core and push it in there real hard to make a little indentation into the leather that we can see here. And then we will cut that away and attach it to the tip of the core. We're going to use our strapping tape here to pull out about 3 to 4 inches, cut that guy off, and then score this 4 times to make 5 strands. All right, so we have a strip of the strapping tape here, and then we have our piece of leather. We're going to put that over the top there and attach it down. The reason for this, that we want to cap it with a piece of leather, is the leather won't go into the core like foam would. So we want to create a little stopper for the foam to, not go inside our hollow core. If you were using a solid core, you wouldn't have to worry about that. What I just did there is attach it once and then cut the corners off to make a more rounded piece here. As much as you want to go through and trim this down, you can. Just like that. You might cut a little bit of the tape away, that's all right. We're going to attach it with more pieces of tape here in a second. Now we're going to cross-link all of these other pieces of tape onto the tip of the sword here. That way that piece of leather is not going anywhere. And then again, that final piece is going to get attached here and wrap around to make sure none of that tape moves anywhere. Cool. All right, for this particular build, I want to make about a 9-inch handle, including the pommel. So we're going to mark our little 1 inch for the pommel, and then at about 9 inches is where we're going to have our handle. So we have our pommel, handle, and blade. And then stay tuned on our channel. We're going to do different ways of making handles and pommels. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do those things, so I'm going to make videos very similar to how I'm making different blades. I will show you how to make different handles and pommels. Next step, we're going to take our sandpaper and we're going to score the core all the way through the blade. So just like this. You don't have to go super hard, but just make sure that you hit every bit here. You want to get the tape, you want to get the top of the tape, every little bit that you can. You want to make sure that there's a nice scored bit for your glue to attach to. Cool thing about sword fries is they're pretty much mostly done. All we're going to do here is glue and then slot that guy right there in the channel, and then we'll glue this other piece and set it over the top, and then we almost have a sword. So we're going to trim this down. This is one of the only things that I trimmed down beforehand, and we are going to trim right to the end of our sword, including the leather strip. So we're going to cut that straight away right there. So I'm going to do that real quick. So we have our core lined up where we want the blade to stop. We're just going to trim that away right there. Now, obviously, this cut is not going to be straight because I'm not using a ruler or anything like that. That's okay. This is actually going to be the bottom of our sword. The machine cut part will be at the top of the sword. Now we can use our other piece to go ahead and cut the length that we need here. And then what I will end up doing, just because I'll forget, I'll mark the bottom of it just like that. Okay, so now we're going to glue all three of these pieces, the core and the two different sword fries, and then we will wait about 5 minutes or so and tack them all together. So let's do that. If this is the first video that you're watching with us, make sure that when you are using your DAP that you don't wear anything that you don't mind getting dirty. This stuff will ruin your clothes. When you go to spread it, don't use anything that you really care about because it will destroy that as well. Make sure that you're in a very well ventilated area, as the fumes are not good for you. I'm out here in our forge with a bunch of fans going and the doors open. You can wear a respirator. I think it recommends wearing a respirator. Just read the description of the can and make sure that you are being safe. When you're spreading the glue out, I have a couple of globs here that I don't want. You just need the glue to be spread out. You need a nice thin layer over everything. You don't want the globs. The glue binds to itself, so if you have a bunch of globs on your sword, it will bind to the glob and not your core, and that's not what you want. The other thing is that DAP, again, binds to itself, so you need to glue both pieces. It's not like Elmer's glue that you used in school. It is its own separate beast. And unlike Elmer's glue or hot glue or any other type of glue, you want to glue the items and then let it dry. It's going to dry for about 5 to 10 minutes depending on the temperature. And from there, you will set it, which I will show you here in a second once I'm done gluing all this. You don't need a squeezy bottle to spread out your glue. For a long time, I would just stick my little piece of scrap foam into the can itself and then spread the glue out like that, like scoop some glue out, spread it, scoop some glue out, spread it. I just find that this little sauce pack container thingy works great for it. A lot easier. Alright, so we'll let that sit for a little bit. So in the last video I talked about laying things straight, and I can trust myself to do a dagger. I don't trust myself to do a full blade, so I've used both of these little chopping blocks that I have here to kind of squeeze the foam together. That way it's straight. Alright, so let's lay this thing down. Try to do it with the camera so you can see. I'm going to try to lay the top piece down first. We want it stuck right in there. And then we'll come all the way down to here. And then just push down, make sure that sits right there in that channel. And we'll take our top piece, or the other side rather, and do the same thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't have the brain capacity to film and do this at the same time. Okay, so once you tack it on there, it should look something like this. With these sword fries, sometimes the tip especially will want to separate like that. So what we're going to do is just pour a little glue in there, separate it again, and then tack it on real tough. Let that sit for a second. Okay, so after putting some glue in there and tacking it together, it is now stuck. So now it looks good, and we are good to continue. So next, this is essentially the same part that we were at in our three-piece build when we had all of the blue foam on and all of the other foam. So we're already at that step. We're ready for a stab tip. So what we're going to do is, like the same build that we did with the three-piece foam, we're going to put one layer of blue foam and then one layer of stab tip. Just as a little aside to plug somewhere into this video, Cold Mountain Company makes multiple different sword fry pieces, so you can get flat blade or omni pieces. I like Cold Mountain Company's octagonal shape that they do because they look more like maces to me. I don't like using the lightsaber bat looking thing. I prefer it to look like a mace. So you can do the same thing with a omni piece as you do with the flat blade like I showed you earlier. You can just tack them on just like that. Make sure that they're routed in the center and that they go up to the tip. And ta-da, one whack bat. We'll put a stab tip on it just like we do for the other build, but you can do the same thing with a flat or an omni. So what you can do is take a strip of blue foam, mark the end of your sword tip here, and cut that out. I already did it, so I got that right here. So we're not going to use that. I've also got a piece of stab tip foam here. I will cut that away, matching our blue foam. So cool, now we have these pieces here. All right, so now what we're going to do is glue the top of this bit right here, and then our blue foam is going to get glue as well, just like that, because that is going to go right there just like that. And then on top of that blue foam piece, we're going to glue our stab tip foam. Go ahead and put some glue on that. And since this needs to be glued here, it's like a middle piece. It's going to have something above and below. We'll glue both sides and then let it dry. Be careful when you do this part. You will get glue on your fingers. I perpetually have glue on my fingers, so it doesn't really bother me. And then I just let it rest kind of sideways like that so it doesn't stick to nothing. Alright, so now we wait again. So it's been a few minutes. These are all glued up. We can tack them together. So do that. Pink. And then tack that on there. Pink. Now it is hanging off a little. Oh! Now it is hanging off a little bit over here. We can straighten that out. Not a big deal. Cool. So now we'll do the strapping tape tip exactly how we do it in the three-piece video, but I will go over it again. So with these sword fries, for this particular build that I'm doing for someone, I'm going to actually just strapping tape it once right there first, and then I'm going to actually take it over to the routing table, so let's do that. This step is not necessary, but I am going to do it for this sword because it trims down weight and also gives the sword a nice shape, so we're going to do that. What I have here is a bell-shaped Dremel bit, and when I run the sword through it, it's going to give it a little beveled edge. So that's what it looks like when it's beveled. You can use a knife to do that. Obviously, it's not going to come out straight like that, but this, again, cuts down on weight and makes the sword look a little more like a bladed sword. Now that it is beveled, we will go ahead and tack the corners with the tape. Again, don't push down super hard on this bit because you will fail inspection for the 2.5-inch rule if you do too much. I've done it, it's very embarrassing. Take our final long piece, go over the top. Perfect. Now we're ready for Gorilla Tape. So with our Gorilla Tape, it's a lot easier to see on this particular build where the sword stops because we put our sword fry all the way up to the tip. So we're going to tape like that to reinforce and then get us a nice long piece to go further down to grab more meat further down the sword, so that way when it stabs, it pulls against all of this stuff. Do the same thing for the other side. Alright, now we're ready for Tyvek tape. Same thing as packaging tape. Like I said in the other video though, Tyvek tape is just objectively better. It sticks better, doesn't make the weird crinkly noise, it sustains more impacts than packaging tape does. It's just better. I like to do the blade side first, and then I do the flat. Not too sure if there's any real difference either way. It's just how I like it. Now again, you don't want any seams of exposed tape. So the entire sword should be encased in tape. That way when you strike somebody, the tape pulls against the tape, which pulls against the tape, etc., so that it doesn't cut into your foam. Okay, so that is one completed sword fry sword. Now it's ready for a handle and a pommel, which we'll do in the next video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.